Hi, I'm Sarah and I'm the CEO of Dynamic Boards. We advertise all of the non-executive director roles from right across the UK. Today I'm speaking to Abdul. He's a board member at Unity Homes and Enterprise, and they are looking for a new chair and one or two new board members. So to kick us off, Abdul, could you tell me what tempted you to join the board of Unity?
So obviously from what I was aware of at the time, Unity Housing Association had been established as a dedicated Black ethnic minority housing association to respond to the housing needs of ethnic minority communities within the inner areas of Leeds, about 25 odd years ago. And having come from two housing associations, which were also Black-led BME housing associations that were thriving to address inequalities that existed in housing services, housing facilities, it was a natural opportunity for me to try and take my experience from the previous two positions into this area where I felt I could actually add value into a new geographical area, but also provide opportunities to connect with the subsidiary work that Unity was doing, which was around enterprise.
Unity has 1,386 homes across Leeds and Kirklees. So how do you as a board manage to make sure that sort of views, experiences, opinions of your tenants are well considered when you make decisions?
It's really, really important that the voice of the customers, the stakeholders, and the insights from stakeholders is actually taken on board and absorbed in our decision making, in our policy shaping, as well as any strategic development. We've been lucky in the sense that a good chunk of the staff that we have at Unity actually live in Leeds and therefore have got strong local connections. We've had tenant panels or resident panels that have been engaged in providing sense checking as well as service improvement feedback. And obviously on a regular basis, we've been taking tenant satisfaction surveys and benchmarking our tenant satisfaction surveys with other similar housing associations so that we can understand whether we are doing the right things in the right way and the experience is there, the outcomes are there for people. And then more recently, we've been able to grow the board. We've now got a number of tenant board members. They provide a really valuable insight into what it's like to be a customer, to be on the receiving end of our services and to be benefiting from our facilities. So that all that insight is really, really helpful in helping us combine with our performance that the executive colleagues bring to the reports, through the reports of the board. And of course, there are opportunities for us as non-executive directors to pay visits on tours for site openings and site tours to enable us to, again, begin to understand the local area and some of the services, and where possible, where customers are willing to speak to us, have a conversation with some of the tenants. So I think it's a multi-layered approach, trying to understand and combine that strategic input with some of the insights from our tenants.
And that's where your skills as a non-exec comes together to be able to pull all of that data to sense sort of
exactly
what the climate.
And actually coming from an underserved community, BME housing associations were set up for people like myself and others. So there is a good level of understanding of the challenges, the disparities, the inequalities that those communities face. And so partly, it helps bring that personal lived experience. Although I don't live in a Unity housing association, I live in another town, which I can probably say is Rochdale. And again, we have, similar kind of challenges, issues, similar kind of housing association offer, and understanding the community dynamics and the community challenges that exist really help bring some of that to the decision making and the policy shaping.
That's brilliant. And so there's a subsidiary called Unity Enterprise. Can you tell me a bit about what it does and why it's so important?
So I think, as I mentioned in my first response, was Unity Enterprise was a key element that attracted me to Unity Housing Association in the first place, because my previous work has been in the voluntary sector, where I led a community charitable organisation specifically aimed at addressing social economic inequalities for the ethnic minority communities of Rochdale. And then I was able to take that experience into local government working across the Northwest. And as a result of that, I've become a little bit of an expert in social and economic development. And obviously, with Unity having Unity Enterprise, that was a jewel for us as a housing association. We currently have 3 managed workspaces, one of which is going through a major refurbishment program, which is called the Leeds Media Centre. It's been a long time in the making. We really can't wait till that's completed, because it will provide us with state-of-the-art facilities that we can really help our local communities thrive. And the whole aim there has been really to provide support and facilities to local businesses and tenants who want to grow their own business, want to have a safe space in the locality of their community, and of course provide that opportunity for network. We've been able to help those businesses connect with business support provided by a number of other agencies. But only recently, as part of the Leeds Media Centre project that I just mentioned, we've recruited a business advisor, and we're now actually helping tenants think about, but also take the steps into starting their own business. So that is going to be a really exciting piece of work over a period of time. Hopefully, more of our tenants and more of the communities that we work in where there is high levels of unemployment can begin to take that step into starting their own business and improving their economic prosperity. We've also had a very successful employment project where we've actually been working with tenants and communities living in our regeneration areas in accessing training, volunteering opportunities, and of course employment. And again, that really is going to be crucial if we're going to help our deprived communities overcome the economic disparity and the disadvantaged. Economic routes are the key vehicles. So I think that really was a key driver, and obviously we're in a very exciting space to be able to do that for our tenants.
So alongside this board role, you work for NHS England as a Deputy Director of Healthcare Inequalities Improvement. So can you share a bit of kind of how your work at Unity on the board benefits your NHS England role, but also how that role has kind of benefited your Unity work as well?
I mean, I'm lucky in the sense that having moved from local government into NHS, I've had a number of roles which have been about transformation around service improvement and about tackling inequalities. My last two roles, including the current one I've been as Deputy Director, initially as Deputy Director for Vaccine Equalities, and then more recently as the current role in terms of the National Healthcare Inequalities Improvement Programme. So you can see health inequalities is writ large, and it's very much about understanding the disparities that exist between communities that live within a space. We know from people that live in what we call the most deprived areas, based on the index of multiple deprivation, and also people that come from underserved communities like ethnic minorities, Gypsy Roma travellers, the homeless community, etc. They always experience poorer access, they always experience poorer experience, and they always have poorer outcomes. So my work in that space really does help resonate with what we're trying to do with Unity Housing Association at the moment, which is about providing services for our tenants that predominantly are from ethnic minority communities and have been disadvantaged for various reasons. Some of the work around transformation, change management, quality improvement, all that helps in the Unity housing conversations. And when we're talking about strategy, service improvement, the 20 to 30 year business plans, and any new developments that we're doing. But equally, some of the conversations that we have at the board around risk, assurance, governance, customer satisfaction, stakeholder management, all of those very much resonate with some of the things that I have to do in my day job. So I see them as complementary in that space, and where one can actually help the other and vice versa. And I think that's been exactly the case as part of my contribution on Unity Enterprise, and now more recently as part of the HR and the remuneration committee, which is about culture and the way of working and health and well-being. So there is a clear synergy, and I think that's what really helps make the roles more effective and more meaningful.
So many people considering applying to join this board may also be doing it alongside a full-time role like you. And I know that the board meetings are usually at 5:30 in the evening. So I just wondered, like, how have you found balancing sort of the reading, the prep and the board meetings alongside your day job?
So I think at Unity, we've got a really good arrangement. You know, we use an online platform where the papers are shared, and there's a really good rhythm. The papers are shared normally 7 days in advance. There's an opportunity for us to review the papers, provide some comments or seek some queries in advance of the meeting, which then helps make the meeting more informative and more productive. And then the cycle of meetings are forward planned, and that helps with the planning of the diary. And as long as we've got good planning, unless there's some immediate emergency issues, it doesn't hinder the engagement and participation in those meetings. Similarly, we have our annual away day. Again, they are forward planned in good time, giving people ample opportunity to reschedule their diaries to make that happen. So I think that whole planning and organization makes it really easier for me to manage my diary. And of course, the paperwork. And there's been a lot of work done to improve the quality of the paperwork so that actually we are able to read it, understand it, and then actually make some informed conversations as part of the meetings.
So this is your 5th non-executive board role across housing and healthcare. So curious, what do you think of the distinctives of Unity's board and culture?
So as I said earlier, I mean, this is my third role in the housing association environment. I have been a member of the Learning and Skills Council, and I've also been a member of Primary Care Trust. And more recently, I was an associate non-executive director at a local hospital trust. Obviously, depending on the different sectors, there's a slightly different approach to the depth and the duration of the meetings, the paperwork, and the intensity. And what I found within the housing environment is that the fact that we have a very clear governance process, we have clear reporting as part of the housing standards, it makes the rhythm of the meetings much more organized. And it does sometimes feel like a deja vu, because you know every quarter at the same time every year you are talking about the business plan. So that rhythm really helps. But the culture actually is what you make it, and obviously the board have a key role in that, along with the executives in shaping the culture, in supporting the culture, and helping the culture be embedded in the organization. So I'm part of that, along with the other fellow non-execs and executive colleagues. But if you're in a different board, you've got different dynamics, different people, and then the culture will be slightly different. But we all work on principles of best practice. But I do say that the culture is very unique to Unity, because it's based on the people on the board. And obviously, as new members come, they are able to influence that culture and help us perhaps make it even better.
It's great to hear that there's good governance and processes in place, because I do think, particularly if someone's considering this as their first board role, it's great to experience good governance, especially in your first role. So I hope that's encouraging to people that are watching. Abdul, to finish, for anyone that's considering the role, what would you say to someone that's thinking about joining the board of Unity?
I think Unity as a housing association is a very good housing association. Our rating from the housing regulator, confirms that. Obviously, as a board member, I would say that, but we know we've got the independent rating to confirm our status. But also, I think the members on the board, we come from a different diversity. We bring a lot of different perspectives, different experiences, and obviously, whoever comes is going to be greatly welcome. And if they are new, they will be supported by all the board members, experienced and or non-experienced. But if they're an experienced and seasonal individual, we really look forward to learning from them, because that's the mindset that we all have, which is how can we work collaboratively, collectively as a single team to make the board better. And of course, when we're working within environments such as, underserved communities, where there are now less and less BME-led housing associations, we really want to continue to thrive, continue to champion the ethnicity and equality agenda, and really hope that whoever comes forward is going to be equally passionate about the agenda. I hope they can see some of that passion in my responses. I'm sure they'll have seen that from our chairs. Really, would encourage people who are interested in any role, but in particular, if they want to champion the equalities agenda linked to housing, because there's so much we can do.
Amazing, Abdul. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck to anyone who's interested in applying. There's a link below that you can follow, and if you're interested in having a conversation with someone before you apply, then please do follow the details there. Good luck, and Abdul, thank you for your time.
Thank you.